lot of things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over it.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Boosie going to jail!
Boosie's been wrestling with demons for years, but this time it feels like the walls are closing in for real. The feds are coming down hard, and his latest federal gun case flipped his whole world upside down. Word spread fast that he could be staring at a 10-year sentence. And the second that news broke, guess who came crawling out the shadows? Charleston White, the loudest troll in hip-hop. The second Boosie's case hit the blogs, Charleston was online dancing like it was his birthday. He was grinning, cracking jokes, and bragging that he'd been waiting for this moment. He even said straight up he never cared if Boosie made it out the system. Cold as ice. But that's Charleston. He feeds off chaos, and this was his Super Bowl.
Boosie going to jail! Oh, God. Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. He going to jail. All that newborn baby. Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail!
But here's the twist. Boosie had already told his fans earlier this year that he was tired of fighting. He even hinted he was ready to take a plea deal before the feds swooped in. He said he trusted God, but you could see it. The weight of the case was eating him alive. And don't forget, this same gun charge already got tossed once back in 2023. Back then, everybody thought Boosie was finally in the clear, free to lock in on his music, his family, and a fresh start. But the feds, they don't forgive, and they sure don't forget. By 2024, they circled back, dusted off the same charge, and indicted him all over again. This time, the pressure broke him. Boosie admitted he was done wasting energy in court and ready to accept whatever came next. On X, he posted that God don't make mistakes, and you could feel the pain in every word. It wasn't just another post, it was exhaustion pouring straight out his soul.
Well, Charleston White was celebrating you taking the plea deal. I think he even said he hopes you die in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard.
The biggest thing right now was that you actually accepted a plea deal for your federal gun case.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been fighting this thing from the very, very beginning?
I've been fighting for probably 3 years now, probably.
3 years.
Fans who've been with Boosie since his Baton Rouge come up know he's always walked a thin line. Courtrooms, street beefs, even health scares. He's dodged bullets both literal and legal. But this one feels different. 10 years ain't a slap on the wrist, it's a heavy hit that shook him to the core. The Boosie we saw online wasn't the same fiery voice clapping back at trolls. This was a man worn down, almost broken, as if every ounce of fight had left his body. And while fans flooded his mentions with love and prayers, the truth was hard to miss. Charleston White was online straight popping champagne like he just hit the jackpot.
I'm gonna put your in jail, waiting for the FBI to send me the right kind of number, cause I'm finna make a report on your mother and people. And you make the man call your name specifically. The promoter specifically said your mother name, Lil Boosie. He implemented you and implicated you. Finna go to jail, back to jail. You gonna be on your knees, but them knees gonna be bleeding again.
He went live with that ear-to-ear grin, bragging that he'd called this years ago. And now, he couldn't wait to celebrate Boosie's downfall. And then, like he always does, Charleston took it to the next level. He flat out said he hoped Boosie never made it back home. That's cold, even for Charleston. But being outrageous is exactly what keeps his name buzzing nonstop. What makes this whole thing even wilder is the fact that Charleston's beef with Boosie didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Nah, this been simmering for years, with Charleston always in the cut, waiting for Boosie to trip. Their smoke actually goes back to late 2022, when Kanye West sent shockwaves through the culture with that infamous White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie didn't hold back. He called it out, saying it disrespected black folks. And honestly, a lot of people agreed with him. But Charleston? Oh, he flipped the script. He jumped online blasting Boosie just for speaking on Kanye, and from there, it was war.
I ain't really got no opinion on him because, my opinion can send me to prison. So I ain't really, I ain't really got no opinion on them. Once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you gotta lie. So I ain't gonna do all that. I ain't gonna do all that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, certain people you can't really express opinions on, and he one of those. You can't express how you feel because you might end up in prison. And I ain't getting tricked off the streets.
But Charleston didn't just keep it on Boosie. He went way lower than anyone thought possible. He dragged Boosie's son, Tutti Raw, and even T.I.'s son, King Harris, into the mess. He called them ugly, said they couldn't fight, and even predicted they'd end up in jail one day. That's when people realized Charleston wasn't just some loudmouth clout chaser. He was the type to aim below the belt, targeting family just to cut deeper. The streets were stunned, waiting for Boosie to snap back like he always does. But to everybody's surprise, he didn't. Instead of exploding online, Boosie played it smart. In an interview with Tony the Closer, he explained that running his mouth too much could land him back behind bars, especially when someone starts dragging kids into it. So he kept his cool, saying he wasn't about to let Charleston bait him into doing or saying something reckless. That move showed a different side of Boosie, not scared, just calculated. He knew Charleston wanted fireworks, but Boosie refused to give him the satisfaction. Still, the tension was thick. You could feel it boiling under the surface. And by early 2023, things really started to explode. Charleston was already trolling T.I. heavy over his so-called paperwork party. And that's when Boosie's son Tutti finally had enough. Tutti clapped back hard, calling Charleston old, messy, and even telling him straight up to go die.
He brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, it's Kanye West. It just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. Can't take no risk of losing this behind,
Charleston, being Charleston, wasn't about to just take the insult and move on. Nah, he turned the volume all the way up. He went live spitting pure poison, saying, "I hope your daddy died from that diabetes. I hope they forget to send him insulin 1 month." Who even says something that cruel? That wasn't trolling anymore. That was straight venom, aimed at Boosie through his own child. And then came the twist that made it all nastier. Tutti actually got arrested later that same month on a gun charge. And the second that headline dropped, Charleston jumped online bragging like he orchestrated the whole thing. He claimed he called the cops, sent in photos, even tipped off the Department of Public Safety himself. Then he pushed it even further, accusing Boosie of being a 6-time killer who used kids to do his dirt. Wild, reckless claims with zero proof, but Charleston screamed it loud enough that it started sticking in people's heads.
I'm not a street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth. When my mama come in and say, "Son, what happened?" "Mama, I didn't do that." I got to pay for a lawyer. I got 2 lawyers, Carl Mallory and Louis Stearns. Louis Stearns became Judge Stearns, Judge Louis Stearns. But nigga, I had 2 paid for lawyers. My mama is a well-to-do mama. I'm just playing, I ain't playing. I'm an adolescent going through an adolescent stage of rebelliousness. Ain't no street. Hell yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. I've been telling since I was a little bitty boy.
That's when their beef crossed the line from internet noise to real-life consequences. Charleston wasn't just talking trash anymore. He was trying to destroy Boosie's name, his career, and his family in one shot. And just when you thought it couldn't get uglier, 2023 came swinging. Not even 3 months after Charleston dragged Boosie's son, Boosie himself got picked up in San Diego right after a court hearing. It looked like the system had been waiting to snatch him back up, and Charleston wasted no time flipping it into his own personal comedy show. He hopped on Instagram Live, preaching like some fake pastor, saying this was God's plan. He even compared Boosie to Daniel in the lion's den, like prison was some kind of divine punishment. It was disrespect on a whole new level. Some fans thought he was just trolling, others thought he meant every word. Either way, Charleston found a way to twist Boosie's pain into content for his followers. That's his hustle, turning other people's downfall into his punchline. By the summer, the trolling was so heavy, Boosie couldn't bite his tongue anymore. he finally broke his silence on Vlad TV. In that interview, the frustration was written all over his face. Boosie admitted straight up he didn't even want Vlad interviewing Charleston, especially after those disgusting shots at Tutti. But once again, Boosie made it clear he wasn't scared of Charleston. What he was doing was trying to stay free. That's been his mission since day one. Don't let anybody bait him into words or actions that could stretch his time behind bars. Still, even while playing it cool, you could see it. Charleston was living rent-free in Boosie's head every time his name hit the headlines. Charleston was right there, running his mouth and twisting the story every chance he got. Then early 2024 hit, and their beef spilled into internet culture in the wildest way. Adin Ross, one of the biggest streamers alive, had lined up Boosie for a massive stream. That should have been huge. Boosie on Twitch, millions watching, a whole new audience tuned in. But then, Charleston's shadow crept back in. Boosie pulled out, not wanting his name tied to Charleston's mess. Next thing you know, Adin flipped the script, going online claiming he was the one who turned Boosie down out of loyalty to Charleston White. And that lie spread like wildfire. Suddenly, people were clowning Boosie like he got curved by a streamer, when in reality, he was just dodging Charleston's chaos. The whole circus got so big that DJ Vlad had to step in. Vlad went off on Adin, blasting him for siding with Charleston, a man who once praised Hitler and even denied the Holocaust. That moment showed exactly how dangerous Charleston's influence had become. He wasn't just trolling anymore. His name carried so much weight that rappers, streamers, and clout chasers were all using him as a shortcut to buzz. Even folks with no connection to Boosie were dragging themselves into the drama just to score clicks off Charleston's name. That's how far his reach stretched, and Charleston wasn't slowing down. By March, he was back online claiming Boosie was warning promoters not to book him. And of course, Charleston spun it into a full-blown rant, saying Boosie was making threats and bragging that he'd already called the feds. He laughed about it, like the FBI were his personal bodyguards, ready to snatch Boosie up again on his word. And to twist the knife deeper, Charleston dragged Boosie's health into it, mocking his diabetes, cracking sick jokes, and turning it into a punchline. That's Charleston's style, always going for the low blow, no matter how foul it gets. Charleston's strategy was simple: hit below the belt, make it personal, and keep every spotlight pointed at him. And it worked. Boosie even admitted he was getting calls from dudes already locked up, taunting him, asking, "When you coming to join us?" Imagine that. You're at home, already staring down a federal sentence, and prisoners are joking like they've got a bunk waiting on you. That's psychological warfare, and Charleston knew exactly what he was doing. This wasn't just trolling anymore. This was pressure designed to break Boosie before he even touched a cell. And then it got darker. Rumors started swirling that Boosie didn't even want to sit through a full trial. He just wanted it over with. And honestly, who could blame him? Picture Charleston White walking into that courtroom. You already know he would have turned it into a full-blown circus, pointing fingers, clowning the jury, then running outside to the blogs bragging, "I helped put Boosie away." That's not even far-fetched. That's literally Charleston's whole playbook. He brags about calling cops, setting people up, even admits to testifying back when he was a teenager. And that's another piece of Charleston's past that keeps resurfacing. Back when he was just 14, Charleston was caught up in a robbery where another teen, Michael Levy, was shot. Instead of keeping quiet, Charleston testified against his co-defendant, Antoine Doolittle. And in street culture, that's the ultimate betrayal, snitching. Even though he was just a kid, people never let him shake that label. But Charleston doesn't run from it, he defends it. He says, "I was young, I was in court, I told the truth." That's not snitching, that's survival. Recently, footage from that juvenile case surfaced again, and the internet lit up. People were calling him a hypocrite, saying, how can he clown rappers for being rats when he testified himself? But Charleston doubled down. He said he never lived by street code anyway and doesn't care who's mad about it. That's the wild part about Charleston. He's untouchable in his own way because he doesn't play by the same rules. He'll roast rappers for snitching while proudly waving his own paperwork in the air. And that contradiction, it keeps people glued to his every word, even when they hate him for it. So when you piece it all together, Boosie's plea deal, his exhausted demeanor, the non-stop internet rumors, and Charleston's never-ending circus, it all makes sense. Boosie wasn't just running from a trial. He was running from the chaos Charleston was plotting to bring inside that courtroom. And that's what makes this feud way deeper than simple trolling. It's a battle where one man's freedom collided with another man's obsession with the spotlight. It's personal, it's messy, and it's wrecking Boosie's peace of mind. Right now, his whole world feels like it's dangling by a thread, while Charleston White treats it like front row entertainment. The second word broke, that Boosie was leaning on a plea deal. Charleston popped up online, louder than ever, ready to gloat. To him, this wasn't just another rapper getting caught slipping. This was karma, plain and simple. He went live bragging that everything he'd been saying for years was finally coming true. All the trolling, all the insults, all those predictions that Boosie would eventually crash out. In Charleston's eyes, this was the ultimate, "I told you so." He carried himself like the streets had just handed him a trophy for being right all along. And that's exactly why Charleston's celebration cut so deep. Boosie hadn't even fully processed his own reality yet, and here came Charleston, dancing on his downfall like it was a block party. He even admitted he'd been waiting for this very moment, like he'd been praying for Boosie to end up back behind bars. That right there proves this beef ain't just about clout, it's personal. Charleston has been locked in on Boosie since 2022, and every time something bad hit his life, Charleston popped up to throw salt in the wound. From clowning Tutti's arrest, to mocking Boosie's health, to bragging about calling the feds, he's acted like he won't be satisfied until Boosie is completely erased from the picture. But here's the twist. Not everybody's laughing with Charleston. The streets are split. Some people swear Boosie brought it on himself. They argue that after years of dodging charges, disrespecting folks online, and living reckless, it was only a matter of time before the feds boxed him in. To them, Charleston's just saying out loud what others have been whispering. But then you've got the other side, the ones who ride with Boosie heavy. They see him as a survivor, a man who's been through hell and back and still kept moving forward. And to those fans, Charleston doesn't look like a truth teller. He looks like a hater, obsessed with tearing another black man down just to keep his own name in the headlines. And that's the debate buzzing right now in barbershops, podcasts, and comment sections everywhere. One thing's for sure, if Charleston is this loud while Boosie's still technically free, just imagine the circus if the judge really slams him with a 10-year sentence. Charleston will treat it like his own personal victory parade, live streaming, shouting, maybe even popping bottles just to rub it in. That's how far he's willing to go, and nobody doubts he'll dig even deeper if Boosie ends up behind bars. Charleston feeds off other people's pain. The more the world reacts, the more energy he gets, and the cycle just keeps spinning out of control. Meanwhile, Boosie's trying to lean on faith, but his words show a man drained to the core. His posts about trusting God don't sound like the usual cocky Boosie fans grew up watching. They sound like somebody bracing for the worst. When you've got Charleston in your ear, the feds breathing down your neck, and the internet split between mocking you and praying for you, it's almost impossible to find peace. And this ain't just about prison time, it's about a legacy on the line. Will Boosie be remembered as a survivor who fought through it all, or will Charleston's voice echo over his career forever? To put it plain, this is one of the wildest beefs hip-hop has ever seen. It's not built on records, not built on street corners, not even built on money. It's built on humiliation. Charleston White has made it his mission to publicly embarrass Boosie at every step. And now, with the possibility of a decade behind bars, he's strutting around like the king of the internet. But here's the catch. If Boosie really does get locked up, that celebration might backfire. Why? Because prison has been a strange reset button for a lot of rappers. And if Boosie comes home sharper, stronger, and more focused, Charleston's victory lap won't age well at all. For now, it's a waiting game. Boosie's plea deal is still on the table, the streets are buzzing, and Charleston is circling like a vulture, waiting to pick apart whatever's left of his reputation. This isn't just another headline. It's the kind of story that tests loyalty, exposes fake friends, and shows exactly who's rooting for your downfall. No matter which side people choose, one thing's clear. The spotlight on this story is blazing hotter than ever, and the outcome is about to shake the culture for years to come. So the only question left is this: will Boosie rise again, or will Charleston White get the last laugh? The answer's coming real soon, and the whole world is watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you on the next video.